Hey guys, welcome to Christian Party Girl.
We're your hosts. I'm Jess.
And I'm Julia.
And we're so excited that you're here.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm surprised we still have you.
Julia, how was your week this week?
You know, my week was okay. Nothing chaotic this week.
Well, that's good.
Work's been good, but nothing too crazy. Just typical adulting. Paid some bills, had some...
It shocks me how quickly I spend money.
You?
Spending money? First of all, it was my birthday last week, so I was enabled to spend some money, a little bit of me time.
I respect.
Yeah, so my week was pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
My birthday was this past week, so got to celebrate with some friends. Had some dinner, and
we had a rager.
It was not a rager. Literally, we had like a glass of wine, and then we went out and had like a beer.
Yeah. It was a Jess Fest.
Yes, we called it Jess Fest. The adult version of Jess Fest. My 21-year-old self was like crying on the inside a little bit. Like, if she could look at me now.
Be like disappointed, like, you're so boring.
Like, we found Jesus.
Yes, we did.
So, yes. I like being boring. That's okay. But it was fun. And then...
We didn't stay out too late.
No.
I was so tired.
We were literally home by like 12:30.
I stayed out later for you. You know me.
I was very proud of you.
I normally go to bed at 9 o'clock.
I know.
10:30. I'll give me 10:30.
But yeah, it was pretty good. Yeah, nothing crazy. No cops.
No cops.
No ragers. No house parties. Nothing.
Oh.
It was very nice.
It's like we just had a nice evening to celebrate you.
It was wonderful. It was really wonderful.
It's a lot different than it used to be, huh?
Yeah, I remember like on my 21st birthday. Well, I don't remember this, but I was like dragged. I was like, I remember going into the bar. I don't remember leaving. I remember, so like my mom and my sister like drugged me out of the bar on my 21st birthday.
Glad your mom was there.
Oh, Mama Jules, she's awesome. Love her. Love that girl. She's a fun gal. But yeah. So it's just, like, so funny. Like, that was my 21st experience. And now it's, like, I'm having a glass of wine, getting dinner with a few friends.
Uh-huh.
And we're, like, outside, drinking, like, my little mojito. And I was like, this is so wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone, like, that I cared about that could be there was there. And it's like, oh, so wonderful. It was very relaxing. There was no boy drama. Thank God. I don't know the amount of boy drama that has ruined birthdays.
Oh my gosh.
Probably both of us.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
We got stories for days.
We'll hear them.
But no boy drama. Like, it was just truly, truly wonderful.
Yeah, so it's really changed a lot since, when we were like freshmen in college.
To even seniors in college. But how's it changed for you?
Well, as you know, for my birthday, we watched reality TV and ate kava. So it's changed a lot. We were in our PJs. It was fantastic.
I wore sweatpants for you.
Well, there were situations where I got put in that had some consequences and all that.
Oh no, we're gonna dive into this. What situation?
I don't think we need to talk about it.
Oh, we're gonna talk about it.
I think everyone else would be better off just seeing me as the pajama kava eating reality queen type person.
So what situations do you find yourself in?
Well, there was a night where I was almost arrested by a police officer.
Do tell. How did you find yourself almost getting arrested but not getting arrested?
Well, it all started with the boy and ended with just a little bit of luck. You see, Jess, it all started at a friendly game of beer pong. I was in my friend's apartment in college, and, I was very competitive. And I don't like to lose.
Naturally, yeah.
And so I see, like, there's this game going on. I'm on my friend's team, but I also notice a very attractive man. And he's on the other team. I'm like, oh. But, like, he wasn't...
Always blinded by a boy.
But he wasn't really, like, playing, but I just saw him in that vicinity. So I was playing against his brother. And so I was about to beat his brother. Like, okay. I was doing great, I was hitting all the cups. Like, I was about to win. So this guy whose brother I was playing, he thought he could distract me because I think he noticed like the tension that we were kind of making eyes across the room.
Oh, the brewing tension. Yes. Okay.
Yes. So he comes over and he just like gets right next to me. He's like, "What you doing?" I'm like, "I'm playing beer pong. Move."
Oh,
Because
but that's such a distraction. I would have been like so like bamboozled.
but you know me, like my flirtation was never like, "Oh my goodness, you're so handsome, you're so cute. Like, where did you come from?" It was more like, "Get away from me. I'm trying to win." Like it was that competitive banter.
Yeah.
And so I'm kind of just telling him like, "Move. Like I have a shot to make. I'm gonna win this game. Get out of my way."
Like shove your face somewhere else.
So this encouraged him.
Naturally.
And he starts getting closer to me and like getting very, very close to her. Like I'm getting nervous. I'm like, "Oh God, he's so attractive." He's like touching me, like he's by my side. It's the final cup. Like, anywho,
that's like he knew he was hot.
Well, yes, we'll get to that, but he did know he was hot, and I wasn't gonna tell him that.
Obviously,
and
we cannot feel the ego.
And I'm about to shoot like the last ball to win the game. Anyone who's played beer pong, you know exactly
like the stakes are high.
It's like the stakes are high. It's like your life depends on it. Your teammate is counting on you.
Yeah.
And I miss it. And the man's smile, the grin on this attractive man's face was just so much satisfaction. And I was so disappointed with myself. And so at this point, I'm just pissed. Like, I'm just wanting to be away from this guy. And I just turn to him and say words that I don't need to repeat, really. But I basically said, "Who are you? And why are you here?" And he just looked at me. He's like, "I live here." I'm like, "So you're the roommate that I've been hearing so much about." And at this point, this roommate I've been hearing about from my friend, and he was like, "Do not go near this guy. He's very attractive. I know you're going to be attracted to him, but he's a bad guy." And I'm like, like,
you're like,
you're the roommate.
It's like so you're the bad problem.
Right. So
I'm going to skeet over here.
It just went downhill from here.
Yeah.
And I go up to him because at this point I have been drinking. And so my judgment is now clouded. I'm not thinking with my brain. I'm just not really focusing on anything besides figuring out who this guy is and like this man that made me lose beer pong. And I go up to him, we start talking about it. He tells me he's going to graduate school. So I'm like, "Oh, you're smart. You're handsome, you're smart, you're tall. Like, oh my goodness, this is my weakness." And he looks at me, he's like, "Yeah, I know, I'm a lot more than just a pretty face." And
that made me want to like smack him already.
And I said, "When did I call you pretty?" And that was it. Like, he was interested in me at this point because, you know, when you give guys that little,
you hooked them.
You hook them because you're not falling for them. He was like shocked at my reaction, and so we're all getting ready to go out to the bars. I'm in his Uber. Like I'm so excited. Like I was like on cloud 9 because at this point I'm over the loss because he's just so attractive. And we're
like,
at the.
I don't care about the loss. Like I got you.
I still really cared about the loss. I was really upset.
I know you're still triggered.
But I let him made me lose, and you know how competitive I can be.
Yes.
And so we're at the bar, and you know the moment where it's like so crowded, it's so busy, and you're at that stage of your drunkenness where you don't really think about the decisions you're making.
Right.
So I naturally, I'm like, "Who wants a shot? It's on me!" And I'm buying shots for like a ton of people. Because I used to say when I would drink, I would use my money like Monopoly money. Because I wouldn't recognize that. Because I would try to be so generous and buy people drinks. And so my bill came out. It was like $60 or $70.
Julia!
I know, I spent, like, people I didn't even really know. I just, like, offered shots up to people.
But honestly, I finessed so much off people like you.
Well, I was that person. I'd
just be like, "Shots? I'm here."
I was high on life. Like, this man was next to me. He was so attractive. And my mutual friend, he definitely knows who he is, like, was warning me the whole time. Like, he saw the glances, he saw the touches, he saw the flirtation, and he was just like, "Do not get with him. Like, don't talk to him, don't kiss him." I was like, bet.
It's like, do you see how hot he is? Like,
So-
do you see him?
So in this moment, I'm like, I hear this good counsel.
Yes.
It's like good advice. Like, don't go near him. He's not a great influence. But I see the bill, and I see that I paid all this money. So I'm like, who am I? What? I'm not listening to this guy. Like, I'm on top of the world right now. Everyone loves me. I just bought the bar of shots. And I instantly turn to this guy and I kiss him. Like, I just kissed him. I was so feeling myself. I was like,
You're
oh
like,
my,
I'm hot.
this man is paying attention to me. And it was just the best feeling of my life.
Mm-hmm.
This moment, like the kiss was just, it was definitely like a movie. Like, I just did what I wanted. I didn't care what my good, Christian friend was telling me. I was just like, I'm going to do what I want.
It's the little angel on your shoulder. You're like,
Oh.
kick it.
I flicked him. He got flicked so far off my shoulder. And so I'm just like so happy. And I get this guy's number and we're like texting and we somehow got separated because you know how it goes at bars. You get separated. And I'm just like top of the world. And I'm just skipping like to the next bar and I'm holding my fake ID.
Okay.
So we all know, fakes are very common in college.
Yes. I did not have one, but yes, they are.
I had 4 at one time.
Julia.
I had Rhode Island, South Carolina. The worst was when people asked me about Rhode Island at like liquor stores and be like, "Wow, what can you do up there?" I'm like, "Well, it's cold." But there's not much to do. That's why I'm here. Like that would always be my story for the liquor stores. And I'm like just skipping. Just imagine like me now, like just skipping in the street, like intoxicated, fake ID just wailing around in my hand.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm like, oh my gosh, I got the cute guy's number. I kissed him. Like he's going to graduate school. Like I'm planning our future in my head. Like my kids are gonna be smart. Like when you do that,
my kids are gonna be 6'2".
Right? They're attractive, smart.
Oh yeah.
Like my brain is just like typical 15-year-old girl in that moment.
Yeah.
There's no logic.
You're like, I saw you when I have, the house with the dogs. Kids,
yeah, and not in like a crazy way, but like
no, in a crazy way.
My life flashed by my eyes in like a good way. And
no, it's still a crazy way, but yes, I understand what I do it all the time.
And I'm just skipping to the next bar, and I don't even really skip, so
I've never seen you skip before in my life.
So I'm just like so happy with my friends having a good time. Like you're in that moment where you're like, this is the best night ever.
Yeah.
Like this is the pinnacle of like my life. And I'm walking and I suddenly realize like my fake is out of my hand. And someone snatched it from me. I'm like, who took my ID? Like some girl, some rando, like, because people would like try to find those things. Like they were gold to have. And I feel the snatch and I snatch it back. And so I'm like, yeah, that will show them. And then I feel this giant, like not like, it wasn't a tug. It wasn't like a kind tug like your tug when we first met. I felt my shoulder get like ripped out of its socket. Yanked towards a police officer.
Was he cute?
I don't know. My joy dropped to like a negative degree when I was face to face with a police officer when I was 20 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And he looks at me and he's like, "Are you stupid?" And in my mind, I'm like, "Yeah."
Like, yes, I am actually.
I'm so stupid. He's like, "Give me your ID." And I'm like, "Yeah, sure." And I pull up my license. Like, I'm 20.
Like your actual
My
license.
actual license. He's like, "No, that's not the one I'm talking about."
What'd you do with the fake ID?
I chucked it. So when I recognize the police officer, like the corner of my eye, I'm pretty intelligent in these situations. Like I'm like scrappy. And if you've been to Athens, like the streets are just clouded with people when you're at the bars, like thousands of people. So when I saw it was a cop, like I think I saw his badge, I chucked the ID like out of my left hand as far as I could chuck it into the street. So there's no evidence it's mine.
Mm-hmm.
Because as you know, like fake IDs are illegal.
Yes, they are.
And can cause a felony and ruin your life, essentially. And so in this moment, like I'm face to face with a cop. I chucked the fake ID. I think I'm so smart. I'm like, maybe I'm not that much of an idiot. And he's like, "Give me your ID." And I was like, "Here you go." He's like, "No, that's not the one I saw." I'm like, this is my license. Like,
ID. Yes.
This is me. Look, it's me. And I like show the picture. He's like, "Are you dumb?" Still wanting to be like, "Yes, sir, I really am." He's like, if you do not give me that other ID right now, I will arrest you.
Oh gosh.
And so here I am. I have this moment in my head. It's like, you know, the angel and the devil back on my shoulder. I flicked the angel away, wishing he'd fly.
He came back.
Should he come?
He came fluttering back.
Should he come fluttering back? So at this moment in my brain, like that little sense, that one brain cell that hasn't been ruined by the alcohol, is like, so I'm not going to get arrested if I give him my fake. Like, that's just what I thought. And so, like, I mean, at this point, he sees me, he has my real license, he knows who I am. Like, I'm not getting out of the situation. So I think my best move is to give him my fake. And so I gave him my fake. He took it. He looked at me, he's like, you're an idiot. Go home. I was like, yes, sir. And I just sprinted away. Like, I ran so fast. My friends were like,
He took one of your 4 fakes.
I know, I still had a few left. But I think that was actually the last one. If I'm really thinking about it, I lost a few other ones.
Rip.
But I just remember there's like a victory bell in Athens that people ring when they pass a test, win a UGA game.
Yeah. Graduate.
You know, like really good celebrations. Well, I rang that so hard for not getting arrested. And I looked down at my phone after ringing the bell, and it's that guy I kissed at the bar, and he's just like, where you at? I'm like, you know, I should have known in that moment. Like this. Why wasn't
you at?
Like, why wasn't he with me? Like, why did he keep me out of trouble?
Typical boys.
So I did not get arrested.
I'm proud of you.
The Lord was watching out for me that day. I really believe it. I deserved to be arrested because that was underage drinking with a fake ID.
You should have, but you know, luck was on your side. God was on your side.
God was on my side. So I wasn't arrested,
Okay.
but a really good friend of mine was.
Oh Lord, what happened?
Well, it all started with having a friend come down to visit you, you know, in college
Mhm.
when friends would come stay with you for the weekend. And he really liked one of my homemates and wanted to impress her and thought he could outdrink her.
Oh gosh, never a good start, but okay.
Yeah, the whole thing was just like, I don't think this is a good idea. She's a champion and you are a mediocre. Like, this is not going to end well because I knew him. Like, he did not drink. So
oh no.
I still feel bad to this day that he even came. But, you know, we're all having fun. It's a situation where you, like, can't see what could go wrong. Again, similar to my story before. And everyone starts drinking, and before you know it, my friend is, like, sick. He's sick, puking. You know that happens when you overindulge. And I'm like, hey, I need to stay with him. You guys go out, have fun. He's my responsibility. I'm not going to leave him here. You know, to some degree, I was kind of responsible.
Yeah.
And my really good friend was so nice, and she repeatedly told me, like, I'll stay with him. Like, your boyfriend's in town. Like, you go have fun. Don't worry about him. I'll watch over him. Like, she was a very motherly type friend.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I'm like, no, like, he's my responsibility. Like, this is my fault. And she's like, I insist. I'm like, you insist. I'm going to the bars.
Yeah, like, I'm not going to say.
I don't want to watch him.
No.
Like,
like, I was saying that to be nice.
I was being nice. So, long story short, we were coming back, and I start getting mad at my boyfriend at the time because he got me the wrong food from McDonald's. He got me a McDouble when I clearly asked for the chicken nuggets. And I don't like the McDouble, like, at all.
But chicken nuggets and a McDouble are so vastly different.
They're both vastly disgusting. Let's just say that. Like,
yeah.
And so I'm drunk and demanding my boyfriend at the time walk back to McDonald's for me because I was a princess. And he was...
As rightfully sure.
He was like, you're going to eat the McDouble. And you're not going to, like, we're not going to worry about this. And I said, no, I want my chicken nuggets.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, Julia, one of your friends is arrested and one is in the hospital. We're done worrying about your food. And I'm like, I was just shocked. Like, the feeling of shock, just like, it's like, what? I was like, how did we go from having such a fun time in the dorm, just chilling with our friends, to an arrest in a hospital visit where someone has to get their stomach pumped?
Oh gosh, so he was like throwing up blood.
Yes. Yes. Apparently he was throwing up blood after we left. And so my friend had to get the RA. Because again, we're like 18 years old.
Yeah.
This is not intelligent.
Yeah, you're just like, oh my God, what is happening?
We're panicking. So again, I'm not in any of this. It's crazy to think if I was there, what would have happened. And we are coming back, and I hear the whole story, And so essentially what happened was when he started puking blood, they had to call the RA, and the RA legally had to call the cops or the ambulance.
Yeah.
And in that sense, the cops show up because it is a underage dorm with 18-year-olds in it, and they're looking for the person who bought the alcohol. Like that, the cops came in to really figure that out.
Yeah.
And so my dorm room was full of alcohol, and you can get kicked out for that.
Yeah.
Like you will lose your
You lose
spot on campus, scholarships.
Yeah, you can get kicked out.
And so my room like had handles of alcohol just on the table, but they didn't go in my room. They went in my friend's room and started talking to her. And again, she was intoxicated because we were all drinking.
Yeah.
And so it's just her and this cop. And again, this is a story I heard from people, so I did not witness this. So my facts may not be completely accurate, but from what I heard is the cop started questioning her in like a very unfair way. Just like trying to figure out who bought the alcohol, not really concerned about someone's life.
Oh.
And so,
Gross.
so the cop is asking my friend, and my friend at this point thinks she's kind of immune from punishment.
Yeah, because she's like, I got help.
And because that is a law. Like,
Yeah.
there's an amnesty law. If there are drunk underage kids, but you save someone's life, you get,
like, you're the person who calls 911. Like,
Yes.
you can, like, save people's lives.
Yes.
You can be abstained from the punishment. Yeah.
and that they do that so kids that are young don't not call the cops.
If someone's, like, genuinely, like, at risk, yeah.
Right. But what you are not immune from is having a fake ID. So the cops.
Oh, gosh.
You're
You're 18.
You're 18. She got a fake ID. We had the same one. We got it from the same guy.
Oh, gosh.
And so that didn't help my case at all. And so the cop is questioning her, and they're like, who got the alcohol? Who's responsible for this? And, you know, she's doing her best to kind of avoid the question. And then the cop's like, oh, do you have any false identification present on you? And they say it in a way where, like, you know, she just thinks she's talking to them, answering their questions. And she's like, yeah, like, you mean like a fake? It's like, that's exactly what we mean.
Oh, gosh. Poor girl.
And this girl, she was just trying to be a good person and take
Yeah.
care of someone. And they handcuffed her and brought her
like, in her dorm room.
in her dorm room and brought her to jail. And so, yeah, like this all happened just from us thinking we were just chilling and hanging out. And like it got really bad. Like she had to like tell her parents, like it was really hard on her mental health, like all the effects of all of the lawyers and everything. Like she is a good student. She's a great person. And so it was just so sad that she didn't deserve that. That wasn't her burden to bear. That was truthfully mine.
Yeah.
And I
and probably my parents would have blamed you too.
Well, the worst, like we had a lease signed together.
Oh.
And her parents wanted her to get out of that with me, which no blame. Like I understand fully why they didn't want her around me, because the way it looked was that it was my fault.
Yeah.
And again, he was my responsibility, but we were all just acting in a way that was just doomed for something to happen.
Something that was bound to happen, yeah.
Right. So then after I hear all this news, I have to go pick up my friend from the hospital. And he's just like in this like chair he had like this hospital bracelet. I'm like, he probably hates me too.
Yeah.
And so we pick him up, and his father drove all the way to Athens, who is also a police officer, and gave me a ridiculous lecture in the parking lot while I'm in my pajamas hungover, and blames this entire thing on me. And I'm like, sir, I don't even blame you at this point. So I think all of that is just to say that we didn't expect any of that to happen.
No, because you're just like hanging out, having a good time, and then all of a sudden life hits you.
Right.
Like the consequences of getting too drunk truly hit you.
Right.
What happened to your friend who like got arrested?
But she had a really hard time. Like it caused a lot of, and again, like this is really her story, but it caused like I lived with her, and it caused a lot of struggles for her, like coming out of that, the legal fees, like earning your parents' trust back, having to go back to school and study hard with all this stuff happening. I mean, I think that really was a reason our friendship started to fizzle out.
Yeah.
Because she was living with the person who kind of caused a lot of this, because I made the decision to encourage this kind of behavior. Like he was my friend. If I would have been there, this wouldn't have been her burden. And she's good now. Everything is great now. She's thriving. But I mean, it was just a situation where it was just a bunch of kids who thought we were having fun. No one expected it to turn out in either situation the way it did. because it just starts with like that one drink.
Yeah, and I think it's so, you look back on your life and when you're like that 16 to like 21, 22-year-old phase, like you truly feel invincible. Like nobody can touch you. Like, yeah, like you're wrestling with sin in the back of your mind and you're like wrestling with, does the boy like me? But do my friends like me? Like, am I going to do well in this test? Like, especially those college years where you're like truly alone trying to figure out like whoever you're supposed to be. Like, am I in the right major? Like, all those things. And so like when you go out and you have fun and you're like on top of the world because, you know, the drunkenness just takes away all of the worries.
Yep.
You truly do feel invincible.
You do.
And you're just like, absolutely nobody can come for me. And you're like, well.
Yes. Cops can come for you.
Anytime.
The hospital can come for you. Like, a lot can happen.
It's so scary. And it's crazy to think, like, looking back, some of the situations, like, we have found ourselves in, you're like, how did I, like, genuinely not get arrested? Like,
I know my future in-laws are watching this and they're like,
what?
What's she doing?
She has been redeemed.
We do not condone sin.
But I think it's so cool because, like, even if we were to have, like, scripture, like, in our lives and, like, been more faithful in following God, like how it says in Proverbs 4:14-15, avoid it, do not pass by it, turn away from it, and pass on, like when you're talking about like temptation and sin, like literally. And then like
start
1 Corinthians, you know, Paul talks about like to flee from immorality, to like literally run from it.
She's just like darted away.
And just because you find yourself in danger, you find yourself in situations that are so tricky to navigate through, and like situations like you're not supposed to be in to start with, because that's not the situations God wants you to be in. So then you're like looking around, you're like, so here I am at the consequences of my own actions.
You're just like, when that cop was staring me down face to face, like my heart just dropped, and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm here.
You're like, hi, officer.
Like, how did this happen to me? Like, how did I get to this moment where one wrong move could have completely wrecked my life?
It could have like altered the next 7 years of your life.
Whew, it's a little heavy.
It really is, but you don't think about it in the moment. That like one thing could just like change the trajectory of your life.
Well, I think like you said, even though we had access to the scripture, I mean, I grew up in church. So I knew the scriptures. I knew it was wrong. But I think in that moment, like my heart wasn't open to receive the love and conviction and grace and all the things that like we know now. And there wasn't that discernment. That's why I flicked the angel off my shoulder.
Well, like even your friend telling you, like, Julia, don't get involved with this dude. Like, and you're just like, the flicked, like
get away.
Yeah.
Because I wanted what I wanted in the moment. And I thought it was just going to be like essentially like another night as the party girl. Just a fun night with a bad hangover.
And yet here we are face to face with a cop, and you're like, hi. Golly. Well, you know, you made it out.
I did. And I'm really glad that the people I do know that have been affected by legal consequences or medical consequences or like have been in life-threatening situations because of drinking and partying, and I'm glad that they're still here. Because people's fate when you're in those scenes could turn out so much differently, and it does happen. Yeah,
like I said before, like I was in the hospital, like from drinking too much, and it's like the rebuilding, like you said, like I had to admit to my parents the next morning with like a hospital thing on my wrist. I was like, this is where I was at last night. You get this bill, they're like, you're paying. I was like, yikes. And then it kind of became like, oh, Jessica's drinking too much. And it was like almost that like tarnished reputation with my parents, that they're like, my wholesome little girl went off to college and now I don't even recognize who she is anymore. And it really changes who you are, and not for the better. But I think it's just, even looking at those scriptures and having them now, what would you, if you knew what you knew now and you could go back, I guess, like, would you do anything differently?
Yeah. Absolutely. I think, first of all, if 18-year-old me just was like knocked out with a bunch of 25-year-old knowledge, I think I'd be very overwhelmed. I think if I would have known what I know now, that entire situation, like the guy I was involved with, the decisions I made, the people I was around, if I like had the ability to like understand what I know about God now, I don't think I ever would have been in those situations. And I would have kept other people from being hurt through those situations.
Yeah.
I would have been in other places. I would have gone to church groups. I would have not been drinking at 18. I would have made decisions that didn't hurt other people because I was just thinking it was a fun party night.
Yeah. Just like, so wise, obviously. But
it's my 18-year-old self with a 25-year-old brain right there.
I think if I had my 25-year-old brain in my 18-year-old body, honestly, I don't know if I would have done anything different. I think I would have tried to do the same things.
Yeah.
But like changing the narrative. Truthfully. Because
I like that.
Like I grew up, you know, my parents didn't take my sister and I to church. Like we were holiday Christians. My mom was Lutheran, my dad was Catholic. Like that's just reality of how I grew up. And you know, like, sure, maybe they wish they would have taken us and grew up in the church, but I wasn't. And I knew God was real. Like, we started going in high school, and I was like, I found God, but then I was like, cool, God, we'll hang out sometimes. With the little finger guns and everything.
I love that.
But I honestly think I would have tried to use what I know now and, like, just change the narrative of those stories. Like, I truthfully don't know if I would have went to the church groups or anything because I wasn't strong enough to like you said earlier, to receive that and to receive God's love, and because I was just in a very vulnerable place. And I went to also like a very big party school, and like even when my parents like dropped me off welcome week freshman year, they were like, oh my gosh, where are we dropping our daughter off at? And I was like, yeehaw! So it's just, I think it's all just like a learning experience and just understanding the true consequences of it. Because now I know, like, I've been to the hospital, I've been in those situations, and yeah, I've never had like bad run-ins with the cops, like I've never been arrested, like, but I have been at the hospital. Like I understand what that is like, and it is scary, like to wake up and you're like, oh my gosh, I don't even know what happened last night. So, but knowing that and knowing the true consequences of like how bad things could get, it better informs me now of how to like not live like that and how to be better and how to just like have a glass of wine with a couple of friends and turn on a Chick-fil-A, right?
Best time ever.
Right. So it's just being safe and understanding, like, drunkenness is that sin, but God can still use what we did during those times in understanding, like, it's not okay to do, but like how to be safe moving forward.
Right. And I think something I really like, and I think most people can relate to one or the other of us, either if I could go back, I would have just stayed away from it, and I would have just gone to church, because I did grow up with church in me, and I think I did always have that natural conviction of like, even when I was in the bar, you shouldn't be here. You know this is wrong. But I wanted to feel something. And then you honestly saying, I don't think that was hitting me at all. Like, I don't think there was that, because like you said, you didn't grow up in the church. And I think both people have either side. Like, you either grew up in the church or you didn't.
Yeah. So
you have either felt that, like, I know I shouldn't be here, or you felt that, like, you know, I'm invincible. Nothing's going to happen. And both are extremely
valid.
Either side.
Yeah.
And it's important that the safety aspect, like you said, is considered, because stuff really does happen to people.
Yes. And so if you ever find yourself in a situation, please have a trusted friend.
Yes.
Please call the authorities if need to.
Yes.
stay safe out here in these streets. But in all reality, like, God loves you.
Yeah.
And you are redeemable.
Mhm.
And there's nothing that you can do that won't make him love you any less.
Yeah, and as you can see, like, Jess and I enjoy a glass of wine or a beer. Like, there's nothing wrong if you are of age and you are controlled in what you're doing. It's okay to have a glass of wine to celebrate a friend on their birthday, like we just did for Jess, or to toast at a wedding, or just a nice beer after a long week of work. Like, we do it.
And Jesus turned water into wine, and I stand by that. Well, that's all the time we have for today on Christian Party Girl. Come back next time.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.